Hello and welcome to chapter 11, and we are moving along. That's my cat Floki, always with me when I'm working late at night. So we're looking at this chapter, Valkyrie. I'm not sure how you say it in Afrikaans, so we'll just stick to Valkyrie. And Greg received this strange book, remember? This book with a brown cover and yellow pages inside, and he found some formulas inside and some really weird stuff, and this word Valkyrie. So that is very important. Okay, so we'll take note of this word. I put a picture in here just as a stimulus to help understand what this is, what a Valkyrie is. They are strijdgodinne, so there's goddesses of goddess warriors. Okay, quite evil from what I can gather. Obviously, there's so many interpretations on the internet. I don't know what to believe. And what they do is so when Vikings die, okay, in battle, which they want, they decide which of them go to Valhalla and which of them actually just die. So Valhallas are those big dining halls where they drink ale. So they decide who goes there and who doesn't. Female figure, important for later in the book. Okay, you'll see why. One morning, Greg is quite tired. This nice guy Dane gives him Ritalin. Looks like Dane sells Ritalin. Okay, at any university you can buy Ritalin. I think people often kids at school also sell it. It's the study drug. It's based on meth, basically. Okay, it's a derivative of meth. Fantastic drug if it works for you, but people tend to abuse it. Greg probably doesn't really need it. He just uses it to study. He takes it from Dane. He doesn't drink it, but later in the book he does use Ritalin. It comes up again and again. So it's like a sub-theme, this thing of drugs in the underworld and that sort of thing. Okay, but Greg's not into hard drugs or anything like that. The only two drugs we hear of, like recreational stuff, is Ritalin and then weed. Okay, Ritalin, when it's used as a proper drug, it's obviously not like a drug. Okay. It's okay. So it's Goeie Vrydag, lang naweek. It's the Easter weekend. Greg goes to Joburg to go and visit his mom. Okay, and this man has a weekend and a half coming his way, man. He hits a last gym session before the weekend. Really nice. He trains quite hard, and then again he sees that motorcyclist, the one who is so obviously not a normal citizen, and he is there in the parking area, and then when he sees Greg, he leaves. He drives away. Okay, so when he gets to Sandhurst, remember that's their big house there in Joburg, he gets the shock of his life. Okay, so he goes to his mom's house. He's assuming she's living alone. Dad's in jail, right? And he gets this shock in chapter 12. Chapter 12 is die plek van hoop en wanhoop, the place of hope and hopelessness. Okay. It refers to, we'll see what it refers to now. So when Greg opens the door, a man in his PJs, he's like slaapbroekie, opens the door. Okay, that's a dead giveaway. If the man still had clothes on, it would be not as obvious. Okay, the man's about as old as his dad, and his name is Andre Symington, however you want to say it. Okay. Every time you meet a character, it's important. We can't write off any character in this book. And remember now, just keep in mind that we want to know who the baker is. And so if there aren't enough characters, then it's easy to guess. But now we're going to meet a whole lot of characters through the book. Obviously, one's going to be the baker. So I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to try not to. Maybe you've read the book already and you know, then it's fine. But as we go through it, maybe try and guess. I guessed wrong. I got it totally wrong. So it's not super obvious, I must say, when you read it the first time. Okay, so Greg and Andre albei verbaasd. They're both like surprised to see each other. Andre asked Greg, "Did your mother not tell you about me?" He's like shocked, and his mom's only thing is that she was lonely. Okay, she's lonely in that big house, all alone, and her husband's in jail in Pretoria. Okay, so he's a chemical engineer. Interesting. Okay, keep that in mind. Chemical engineer. Okay. What kind of knowledge does he possess? Maybe potential baker. I don't know. Greg, they've known each other for a long time. Ken is like no, eh? Ken is no, like you know a friend. Viet is to know about something. Okay, just as a side note. Sy sê vir Greg dat daar meer geheime is in die gesin as waarvan Greg weet. Sorry, I left out the weet. There are more secrets in this family than what he knows of. Okay. That's the first interesting part about his weekend. The second interesting part is he goes to visit his dad in jail. Okay, now they are on difficult terms. He gets some McDonald's burgers on the way as a gesture. Whether his dad actually got it, it doesn't say. This is the name Kgosi Mampuru Gevangenis, correctional facility, just a nice way of saying a prison. Okay, and this is the prison where Greg and Doc Pienaar is at, the old Pretoria Central prison. Greg's pa like swak en hartseer. He looks weak, he looks sad, understandably. He looks like he has a knee injury, knie besering, perhaps a bit beat up by someone in jail. It's not a pleasant place to be, as we'll see. And they try to talk to each other, but they are far removed from each other. Okay, they are. There's a distance between them, understandably. There are walls up between them, psychological walls between making proper conversation. They don't really connect, or they struggle to connect. And Greg's dad is angry, and as in his anger, he has a bit of a rant, and he explains what omstandighede, what conditions, living conditions he lives in. He lives in a small cell. Okay. One little window, een venstertjie, no privacy, the smell of sweat, smell of bodies, lewe, klipharde musiek, someone's playing like loud banging music all the time, people screaming, doors being slammed shut. We've seen it in the movies. We'll know what picture it's trying to portray here. Lice in the mattress, to me that would be the worst. And flickerende baseligte, those neon lights. What is going on with my spelling? And yeah, those tube lights that are like going out, and the starter or the thing is not working properly. Greg's dad is kind of sarcastic and bitter. All right, he says this. He asks Greg if he's happy that he did his duty. Is jy bly het jou plig gedoen? Are you glad now? Are you happy now? Your dad's in prison. You caught your dad. I'm suffering here. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied that you've done the ethically correct thing? So he's kind of bitter, sarcastic, and angry. Okay, understandably. Interestingly, he doesn't tell his dad about Andre. Okay. He considers it just before he leaves again, but he decides not to. Okay, that would probably be like a punch in the stomach, I can imagine. You've been in jail for a little bit, and your wife's moved right on. Greg says jammer, he apologized, but his dad doesn't accept it. His dad's not ready or in a place to accept any kind of apology. Greg kind of says that his life's also hard, and his dad's like, man, you're clueless. Your life's not hard. What can possibly be harder than this, than jail? Greg kind of hints at, he doesn't ask it directly, how he can help, how can he make things better. And his dad makes a comment. He says it's onregverdig, it's unfair dat die baker nie ook in die tronk is nie. That the baker is not also in prison. Dokpino is a few rows down there. He's in prison there. Then Greg warns Greg that he must leave the baker alone. He's like, "Bud, you don't know who you're dealing with here. This guy is serious. Okay, don't mess with this guy." And he refuses to say who the baker is. Okay, because he knows his son will go after him, probably. He throws in the word Valkyrie just to see his dad's reaction. And there was like, oh my, his dad is like, "Hey, how do you even know about this?" And he warns Greg again. He says, stay away from this guy. He is trouble. Okay. On his way out, he sees his old school principal behind bars. Can you imagine that? I think it'd be pretty cool just to see your principal behind bars for a day. Like sitting detention or something. Okay. And he just glares at Greg. He's like, "Yeah, you little whatever. Insert the correct word." Greg is vasbeslote. What a lovely word in Afrikaans. Vasbeslote. Determined om Baker op te spoor. He's like, "Nah, stuff it. I'm going to get this guy." Chapter 13. Nicole makes a return. An interesting return. Not surprising that she has a baby. If we didn't delve too much into her character, I must say, I kind of probably neglected Nicole a bit in the previous videos and in our introduction video. But she has a baby there, Colette. The dad is not there. He's in the Cape. Okay, he's not involved. Betrokke is involved. It's always a one-night stand, right? Nicole was een aand met 'n ou by 'n partytjie. One night, and she was pregnant, and now she has a baby, and she's all tearful and miserable and regretting what happened, and she says everybody's having parties while she's changing nappies. That's what happens. And she comes there and she says she kind of hoped that there would be something there. She's kind of hoping for something, but Greg has no more romantic interest in her at all. Okay, he's like so done. Even when they touch each other, he's like, there's nothing, there's no chemistry anymore, nothing there. And he kind of says in his head, I could save this girl. I've got the money, I've got the capability, but she cheated on him with Eckhart. I hope I mentioned that because it becomes important again later in the book. But when they were on holiday together, allegedly she cheated on Greg. That's what the book makes us to believe. We'll see if it was true later on. It does. The real truth does come out about what happened back then when Eckhart, Nicole, and Greg were on holiday. Okay, but at the moment, Greg's main purpose is to find the baker. That's his most important focus. This man is driven, he's focused. He flies back to the Cape. Lots of things happen on this weekend. He found his mom with another man. His dad's in prison and very bitter and angry. And Nicole had a baby and she wanted to reconcile, and he said no. Okay. Then when he gets home, he gets a message from his mom that she says, okay, firstly, please don't be angry about Andre. Okay. And then importantly, she says Thomas Lawson and his wife. Now, Thomas Lawson, the principal of the school, okay, the current principal of the school and the founder of the school, and his wife invited him for dinner. Okay. So that's quite important. Obviously, Greg doesn't want to go. He's like, what must he go for? And his mom's like, oh, you must keep contacts. She encourages him to keep contacts. Don't burn bridges. These are important business people. That's how the business world works. It's who you know, not what you know. Blah, blah, blah. By now we know that's not Greg's personality. Anyway, he gets into his flat and he's like, someone was in his flat. His laptop's open. He never leaves his laptop open. Strange that he left his laptop at his flat. I would have thought he would take it with. Anyway, but he left it there. It's open. Lesson or lie, the desk drawer is left open, or was open. So someone was obviously in his flat looking for something. Probably the baker sending someone to snoop around in his flat, isn't it? Then he panics. He's like, sure, but that brown book, is it still there? And what he did was he stuck it on the wall in an envelope, and he stuck it behind that Conrad Botha's painting. Remember that one? And it's still there. Nothing is stolen. So very suspicious. I mean, nobody leaves a laptop. That's the first thing people steal. Then on the sliding door of the balcony, there's like written on the glass, like in dark brown stuff. Jy en jou hacker buddy met my uitlos. You and your hacker buddy friend must leave me alone. And he goes closer and he sees that it's blood. Okay, it's written in blood. Very weird. Okay. Greg besef die baker dink dat hy en Zander Gericke weer saamwerk. So he's not working with Zander yet, but this baker is like assuming that they are already working together to kind of get to the baker. And that actually gives, ironically, that gives Greg the plan. Dalk kan hy Zander kry om hom te help. Maybe he can get Zander to help him find the baker. Maybe he would be open to something like that. Okay. So after another week of struggling by himself and not really gaining any traction, making any progress, he decides that he's going to ask Zander for his help. Okay. So remember, they didn't leave on good terms, right? They were left, they saw each other last time there in Clarence, and it was like a bit wild there. Didn't leave on good terms. Terug in die onderwêreld, back into the underworld. Okay, onderwêreld obviously reference to the first book. Okay, and we've spoken about the various meanings of the word underworld, or the various implications. Okay, Greg, okay, so now he's at the Lawson's house. Okay, now remember I said, just like we're meeting a whole lot of characters, and you can't skip them because we're looking for we've got a we need to find a suspect, who the baker is, because the baker, we learn the baker's identity later in the book, and it's one of the many characters that we meet through the book. Okay, so he meets Thomas's young wife. He's got a young trofeevrou, a trophy wife. Okay, her name is Rebecca. Okay, one of the other, there's a young girl there. She's the only young girl at the party. It's not that kind of party. Okay, she's in matric at Kamp Spy Hoërskool. She asks Greg's number, but he can sort of tell she's not really interested and that she's never going to phone him. Okay, hy weet sy sal nie bel nie. Other guests, Jochie Dreyer, he's a politician. So his wife kind of ignores Greg. Maak of sy hom nie sien nie. Midrin Fortuin, did I spell that right now? Let's quickly check. Midrin Fortuin, Mildred, sorry, I thought it was right. Mildred, I thought it was wrong. I mean, Mildred Fortuin, our man. He's an industrial tycoon. Okay, a magnate. I had to Google the Afrikaans. I didn't know what it was. It's magnate. Okay. Then Albert Swatch, he's the CEO of a financial service provider. General, here's a guy who was in the military. Okay, so you can see how these people operate. They're all sort of important people. I wish I knew important people like this. Hy vra hoe dit met Greg se pa gaan, and they kind of, it ends in a bit of an argument, his conversation. But then he goes out onto the balcony just to catch some air. He's like, oof, he can't stand all these bloody people, and he wants to take a break. And there's a man sitting on like a sofa thing, rustbank, outside, and the guy says, come and sit next to me. He's quite old, he's scraal, with a scraal gesig, he's got like a thin, skinny, I don't know if skinny is the right word, skinny, like a gaunt, I think is the word. Gaunt face, full ployer, full of wrinkles, silver grey hair. And he introduces himself as Stadler. Okay, so there's lots of characters here. And they have quite a long, interesting conversation. Okay. Stadler vra wat Greg daar doen. He's like, what are you doing here? Like, how do you fit into the picture? En hy verduidelik hoe al die gaste mekaar ken en hoe hulle verwant is, how they are connected. So and I skipped this part. I don't think it's super important, but he explains to Greg in quite detail how each character, how they know each other and how they deal with each other and how they're connected, right? So I think the point is here that Greg is not connected in any way. And I think he knows it, and he's kind of having a bit of a stab at Greg. Greg said, no, I'm a student. I'm just here because my mom wants me to be here. And he says like, I probably won't see any of these people ever again in my life. Then Stadler tells Greg about his dad. Because now obviously everybody knows about Greg's dad. Now Stadler talks about his dad being this strict, violent guy who he beat them, okay, as the kids, and he was like a typical, no, I'm not going to say typical, but like a old school farmer, Afrikaner man, okay. And the guy kind of, you can see he's kind of slicked conversationalist, okay. He says to Greg, but I won't bore you with my stories. And then Greg's like, no, tell me. You know, I'd rather talk to you than go back inside. This is far easier, far more comfortable. And he keeps talking, and he mentions the farm that they had, H-Scott Kraal. Okay. And that's the name of their farm. And he also tells them about how he and his brother used to kill animals on the farm, like jackal and things, and they stuffed them. Okay, they preserved the animals. Bizarre. Okay, and after revealing all this personal information, he asks Greg about his dad, and before Greg realizes what's happening, he's like speaking freely and openly about his dad to this stranger. So the guy clearly used the psychological technique on him, toegepas. He applied it on him. It's the technique where you kind of spill personal details about yourself, and then the other person feels compelled to do the same. It works every time. Okay, Thomas Lawson comes outside and he's like, hey, are you guys still okay out here? What are you doing? And his attitude is quite strange, like when he's alone with the two of them. Anyway, Greg's like, I'm out of here. This is enough now. I'm done. I've done my duty here. My mom should be happy. And then as he leaves, Thomas says, Greg, can I speak to you alone in the study quickly? In die studeerkamer. And Greg is thinking, oof, this is, okay, here it comes. This is the reason why I'm here. And he gets questioned. He's like, why are you still doing hacking? Why are you studying this nutteloose, this useless sports psychology course? You're far more talented. This is not what Lawson boys do. And Greg's like annoyed with this guy. He's like, bugger off. The whole thing ends in an argument. He's like, I don't have to listen to you. Thanks for your advice, but no thanks. then he says, listen, Greg, I'll help you with opportunities. And Greg refuses. He says, thank you. I don't need any more. I don't need handouts from you. I'm fine. Thank you. I'm fine by myself. Eventually, he makes his way to the car. Again, he gets interrupted. Sebastian Stadler. He gives him a last message as he gets in the car. Geen mens is ooit so goed soos ander mense nie, en geen mens is ooit heeltemal so sleg soos hulle nie. Interesting. No, and it's probably a universal truth, I would say, that it's reasonable. No person is ever as good as what people say, but no person is also as bad as others would say. However, it's normally like a pretty evil person that would say this, isn't it? Like, I'm not as bad as you think I am, but no person will really say, I'm not as great as people say I am, unless you're very humble. Okay, so keep that in mind. Anyway, Greg's back. He's left the party, and his plan to contact Zander goes ahead. Last time you saw him was in Clarence when he got into his friend's car, Tom. I hope I mentioned Tom previously. Greg se pa weet nie wat van die regte geword het nie. He doesn't know what became of the judge. That's what he said to Greg and his mom back then. I don't know what happened to the judge. And if he knows, he is keeping quiet about it. So we don't know which one it is. Anyway, so Greg goes back to that old website. Remember this one? And I've made a mistake. Underworld. Ooh, don't do that now. Okay, it's not. It's following the link when I click on it. Oh gosh. It's Underworld. They're not on. It should be a U. He goes to the old hackers website that Eckhart, when he was still Eckhart, left for him, and he finds the old password as well. There's the password. Now, will they ask you the password? No, but it might come up in like a text or something that they give you in the exam or test, that thing, and then you'll know it's the password to the thing, to the website. Okay, you never know what they're going to ask. You must learn everything. You might as well know all the details, just to be safe. Hy sees the last entry still of the blog. Hulle weet ek was in hulle systems, hulle weet wat ek gedoen het, hulle weet wie ek is. He sent this message to Eckhart when he got exposed as a hacker. In the meantime, it was all planned by Eckhart. Okay. Greg skryf weer 'n boodskap. Echo, now it's the first time he's trying to reach out to Greg. Echo, as jy hierdie kan lees, kontak my. Ek het jou hulp nodig. Asseblief. Then he takes out the asseblief, and then he adds it back. He doesn't want to seem desperate. Okay. He looks at the message, takes out the asseblief, puts it back. And then the next day, he gets an answer. This thing. It's on page 79. And the words we want to, the letters, those two are interesting. That's not, I couldn't find it in the insert symbol thing, but it's that. It's almost that. It's a little U thing over the line is a bit higher in the book. Okay, but it's close enough. I don't think you'll have to know that, but you might have to know the meaning. Greg doesn't know either. He Googles it, and it's Greek, right? For was ook die sondes af, nie net die gesig nie. I should have put the translation in. It means also wash your sins away, not just your face. Don't just wash your face, also wash your sins. It's okay, so what is this? This is Eckhart saying to Greg, you must be aware of what you've done wrong. Do you even know what you've done? Okay, what you've done to my father. Greg doesn't like this. It doesn't sit well with him. Greg hou nie van die versteekte boodskap nie. He doesn't like this hidden message. That they say sondes moet bely. It's a biblical thing. Eh? You must confess your sins. Okay? He's like, stuff you, Eckhart or Zander, I'm not going to confess to anything. I'm not going to humble myself like that. Next day, Greg meets Lisa, Plunk and Lisa. First time now he can properly meet Lisa. After the disaster of the first time, they meet properly and they have a good chat, and they back together again after his flop with the Tinder profile thing. Okay, that's over. They laugh. They think they talk about all the idiosyncrasies of Plunk, all the weird things he does. Like once he sent us a selfie of his a shirtless selfie of himself to his mother, and he makes like computer gaming noises. He's quite the character, I must say. You know, I think a lot of people will like him the most in the book. It'll probably be a lot of people's favorite. If you do that oral at the end of the year and you have to pick a favorite character, maybe pick Plunk. It's an easy one. Anyway, so now eventually that evening he responds to Zander. Quite a long message. I try to summarize it. Don't want to not just brush over it. He does exactly that. He makes a kind of a confession, right? He says, listen, my dad is a criminal. He made a virus. He killed many people. My dad had a part in your Ondale had part in your dad's death. He says, my life is a mess. My life is a psychologist's dream. I think he says something along those lines. He says, my mom's got a new boyfriend. My brother committed suicide. The trust money that I live on was probably illegally obtained, onwettig. And he says, just help me, please. And that is how chapter 15 then ends. Okay, so a lot of information. Hope it helps. Please share. Please help me to share this on your WhatsApp statuses. I appreciate it so much. And I really hope that it helps. We'll chat soon.